Hey there, YouTube. Heir of Carthage here, and this time I am going to be fielding Patchy against a Fall of the Samurai army. This has been a request that many of you have made, asking for some strategy on how to beat Fall of the Samurai armies with traditional Shogun 2 armies. Now, let me preface all this just by saying that, to be quite honest, there's a reason why the Samurai got defeated during all the modernization, and it's because the modernization and the technology overcame their ability to keep up with, no matter how good their training was. And so that's actually represented in the game, and the fact that it really should be and is hard to beat a Fall of the Samurai army with a traditional Shogun 2 army. It doesn't mean it's impossible. What it really depends on is how intelligently your opponent reacts. So if you bring the right army with your traditional troops, and your opponent reacts the incorrect way, you can be assured an easy victory. Even if you bring the right army and your opponent reacts the correct way, you can be assured a very difficult victory, if a victory at all. And if your opponent knows how to react and you don't choose the right army, then you can be assured that you're going to be destroyed rather quickly. This is not just like rushing the old matchlock armies. These armies fire much faster, there's much more of them, and they're more accurate than the matchlocks, and they have longer range. So it's very, very tricky business indeed. So my opponent is actually using a leadership general. He's got the stand and fight ability, which isn't like super. It's been nerfed a little bit. It's okay, but it's been nerfed a little. In any case, my opponent has an Armstrong gun back here, which these units can be devastatingly effective against traditional Shogun armies, but if you leave them relatively unsupported like this, not so much the case. So what kind of army did I bring? I've got 4 Yari Ashigaru all spread out very long and in loose formation. I brought a bow samurai just for the sake of what I had left in my funds. Don't expect much out of it. I've got 4 units of katana cav. I've got 2 Nodachi samurai in loose formation, and then I've got I think 3 or 4 sword attendants as well mixed into this. And you can see that I'm taking my real melee troops all the way around a flank. I'm just going to occupy the center of my opponent's attention with these Yari. I don't really expect to do much with them, so I've got the center occupied here. But if my opponent was smart, he would ignore this center with all but like a couple of units, just because in reality it's not a huge threat. But see, that's the thing with armies that have to shoot for their defense, is they have to all be facing the same direction, basically, or you start to get split up. So my opponent has a ton of rifle troops. Let's see, he's got an Azure Dragon Force, Shogun Police basically out here, a Vermilion Bird Force, Imperial Guard Infantry, another police force, Vermilion Bird Force, Guard Infantry, and an Infanterie de Marine. My opponent does have a revolver cav here guarding his Armstrong gun. This is a tactic that a lot of players do, just because they think it's real sneaky or whatever. I knew he had a unit hidden here. It was not sneaky, and I knew that whatever unit he had wasn't going to be enough to protect his Armstrong gun. So a foolish mistake on the part of my opponent, and I'm going to capitalize on it. My katana cav will cut the crap out of these revolver cav. Yes, I'll take some losses, but it'll be totally worth it, because this is probably about all in all 2,500 or 2,600 koku worth of units that he just lost there, for my loss of 1 katana cav unit. So he lost way more koku on that than I did. This also drew his forces to try and protect his Armstrong gun, which was stupid. So he turned his back with all of his troops to my Yari cav, Great Guard, and General, which is on this flank. So I'm going to charge and get his forces bogged down in a melee fight, which is where they don't want to be. And if anything, he should be sacrificing these units in order to continue setting these guys up, but instead he's charging right on into melee. This is about as big a mistake as you can make. I'm going to back up. I've got 2 units of Great Guard, and here comes my Great Guard into the melee as well. I should have charged his general right here with the Great Guard, but I was occupied moving other troops in. Oh, looks like I did get one of my Great Guard units into these units right here near his general. So I've got pretty much all of his units locked down into melee, so they can't fire. And my cav probably won't win this fight alone, but now that all of his units are locked into melee, here comes my sword troops. They're being led by a Yari Ashigaru just so my opponent can't countercharge them with cav. So now I'm just clicking melee orders. All my Yari are running across. These Yari in the front are going to lock down his last remaining troops to where they cannot shoot. So here we go. This Imperial Guard infantry getting charged by my Yari. So all of his troops are locked into melee at this point and just being really, really badly beaten. They're completely surrounded. My general's in stand and fight over on the one flank. And my reinforcing troops are crashing in. His general is also in stand and fight right here. But it's just not going to work out for my opponent. And in a very honorable manner, realizing that he was defeated, he rage quit. So in any case, we'll go ahead and end the battle, and I'll show you the statistics. So that is one way that you can defeat a Fall of the Samurai army. Again, let me restate this. It is not easy, and it is not balanced. And in real life, it wasn't balanced, so I don't really expect that the units are supposed to be balanced. So as far as dollar for dollar when you're purchasing units, the Imperial units are just pound for pound can cause more death than your old Shogun 2 units can whenever you're facing off against each other. And I don't want CA to rebalance that. It's not supposed to be balanced. What they could do to make the fights a little more fair is when you have a mixed avatar fight, they could reduce the funds of the player using the Fall of the Samurai army by a certain percentage that they determine to be fair. So like, I don't know, 1,000 or 1,500 koku, probably 1,500 koku on large funds. If they did something like that, it would definitely make the two more competitive. But as it stands, like I said, it's actually very difficult, and that was a large-scale battle, which is one of the ones that should be the hardest for a Shogun 2 or a traditional avatar to win. But my opponent made a lot of really foolish mistakes there, and I was able to capitalize on it. See, my Katana Cav got the most kills right here. As soon as a Katana Cav gets into those kind of infantry, it's just going to wreck them. They don't have a prayer. Now, of course, my Katana Cav took some losses and stuff from his Revolver Cav, but for the most part did well. My Great Guard was starting to rack up kills. And they didn't have long to fight, but my Nodachis, you can see that they were starting to rack up kills at an alarming rate. 6 losses to 24 kills, and that had just started the fight. I mean, they'd only been fighting for seconds whenever he rage quit. So that would have been a short fight for my opponent indeed. Yeah, so that's one way that you can take the fight to the enemy using a traditional army. Like I said, you got to be very careful doing it because it's not easy, and to be quite frank, if your opponent is skilled, you may not be able to win at all. It just kind of depends. The maps that are best for this, of course, are ones that are heavily forested, where you can do a lot of sneaking. You do not want to play a traditional avatar against a Fall of the Samurai avatar where there's a choke point that they can take advantage of, or something like that. I mean, there's just a lot of factors that go into it, so it really just depends. And, you know, on a map where you've got plenty of maneuver room and you can bring a horde of cav, that usually helps you out. But anyway, hopefully this is some good information for you all. I do have one more replay for you, actually. Let's go take care of it real quick. So that was a traditional avatar army. Let's do a team battle. This is all 4 of us are playing as Fall of the Samurai avatars, but this is a team battle I played earlier today with Ares. And I thought you might like to see some more footage with these Fall of the Samurai type armies, and you haven't seen a team battle from me on it yet. And some of you are probably asking, we want to see more Tosa campaign. Well, it will be uploading later, so just, hang in there, and it's on the way. I will be gone Monday and Tuesday on a business trip, so the next round of videos after this and my next Tosa campaign will be on Wednesday, so I'm going to have to be gone for 2 days. And some of you have noticed that I was playing more, and it's because I was a little bit free to do so this weekend. And I'm trying to take advantage of it before I go on this business trip. Yeah, so this is a Kawabe River map. It's kind of an interesting map, actually. It's a new one. You can see there's a big, large, flat area out here. Some terrain on either side, including this river here, which is a shallow river, and then these shallow pools here. So the map definitely has some terrain stuff that you have to be aware of. As far as the armies, real quick, I'm using this Yuga Katai unit, which is a skirmishing unit that can deploy anywhere. It's not got like the best stats ever, but it does have 150 range, and like I said, can deploy anywhere, and we're using it to help us cap this morale shrine. So this is my army over here. I've got my Royal Marines and a White Bear up front. I've got a couple of more White Bears right here on the flank, and another White Bear on this flank, along with an Imperial Guard Cav, which is a shooter Cav with pretty darn good stats. You haven't seen them yet, I don't think. This is a Yari Key that I got in the back, and then I got Patchter right there. Ares is fielding pretty much all White Bear infantry with the exception of his, I think he has,
Your general is under attack.
I think he's got one Tosa Rifleman, and then a Royal Marine unit as well. His cav is a Yariki, and I think he's got an Imperial Guard cav. Yeah, right there. 2 Yariki and an Imperial Guard cav. Our opponents both have a parrot gun each, and they have some pretty decent statistics. My opponent here has got a couple of Imperial Guard infantry, which are overpriced for the amount of stats that they have, but they're still a decent unit. But he has spent a lot of Koku on them, and then he's got Black Bears filling in the other gaps. So I want to say he's got 5 of them and 2 Imperial Guards. He has no cav, and he's just left a unit of spears back here to guard his parrot gun. And the idea here is just to come heavy on firepower, and the idea of the artillery is to force you forward while they shoot you up with their superior amount of infantry. His opponent, or his teammate, is going to reinforce here with, I think he spammed all Black Bears except for his Infanterie de Marine, and he's got a Saber cav as well. So the fighting's begun. My British Royal Marines are going to just start ripping these guys to shreds, but as soon as his guys start firing back, my Royal Marines are going to be massively outgunned, and so even though they're doing an excellent job, it's just a matter of time before they rout. And same thing with my White Bears. I really should have backed up a little and let the rest of my line form up, and then I probably could have easily won this fight if I would have let my line form and let Ares get into position to help. But I did start this fight too early, and I'm going to pay a price for it up the center. As you can see, my men are being hammered by artillery and pretty much getting smoked in the rifle fight. So yeah, it's looking pretty ugly right there. Take a look down the line here. Here's his men firing at my men. However, my unit up here on the hill, along with my Imperial Guard cav, is going to be getting some nice flank shots. And I'm going to really be causing a whole lot of damage to his flank, and it's not going to be easy for him to get this White Bear unit off this hill because I have wood cover and a height bonus there. But my opponent does have a lot more infantry than me, and he's already routed my center. I'm reinforcing with this unit of White Bear infantry right here, and they're going to do pretty well, but again, they're just going to be outnumbered, which is going to be a big disadvantage for me, and they're going to be under artillery fire probably. So they do get some first shots and start to rip into these guys. As far as upgrading your units on Fall of Samurai, I find that with White Bears and Black Bears are usually like the best way to go, and really there's no need to put any upgrades on them besides reload. Otherwise it's probably just a waste of money, especially if you're playing in medium funds. I don't recommend putting a whole lot else on them. So my guys here just start to get outnumbered and shot out. His guys right here are shooting kind of through his own men, but they're just barely able to get over their head, which I thought was kind of crappy for me, but oh well, that's what happens. In a normal situation, he would have been shooting his own guys in the back, but he got lucky there, and there was just enough terrain to let him pull that off. Ares' troops are getting quite a few kills, but they're going to get outnumbered here as well. The one redeeming thing that's happening here, though, is, like I said, my guys up on this hill, you can see him doing what I've named the Tosa Shuffle there, which is the stupid shuffling they do to reform all the time rather than just continuing to fight, even though you have them in defensive formation. Some of you said they won't do that if you put them in 2 lines instead of 1. That's not true. They'll do it no matter how many lines you put them in. They continuously reshuffle. And only the front line can fire anyway, so you definitely want to spread your men out. You can see these Imperial infantry getting shot to crap by my White Bears, and all I have to do is just reposition my White Bears, and I'll be able to continue to put fire in these guys, and then I'm going to use, I think Patcher's up here. Yeah, Patchy's right here. He's taking some shots from the hill. I'll move him down and keep taking shots to keep pressure on these infantry while my guys are reforming. So you can see Patcher is going to be getting a few kills on the flank of this unit here. There you go. Chasing those guys out. On the front over here with Ares, it's more of a standoff with his opponent because right now they probably feel like they're winning. But right now the tide is actually kind of being turned back to our favor. Ares' Imperial Guard cav got a hold of this Imperial Guard infantry and allowed him to position this White Bear infantry right here as well. But they're going to end up getting into a fight with these Imperial Guard infantry in melee, which is not going to bode well for Ares. But if he's got his guys in defensive formation, which he does, they should start firing.
Your men are routing, sir.
Yeah, they should have started firing, but they didn't. They end up routing there. But over here on the hill, my guys are going to easily mop up this situation. My opponent moves up and tries to shoot at Patchy rather than shooting at my line infantry. I can't say that was an advisable move. He does kill some of my bodyguard, but it allows me to just completely destroy his remaining infantry. So yeah, he gets some kills, but he really should have focused on my infantry. So you can see Ares is defending his flank here. they're pushing on him, but he's going to end up routing these Imperial Guard infantry, I think. Nope, they're going to hang in there. And it looks like Ares' White Bear infantry is going to rout as well. So Ares is having to pull back a little bit. And at this point, he was asking me to reinforce this flank. I should have already been doing it, but I'm going to turn these Yuga Katai to reinforce this flank, because Ares' Tosa Rifleman and his other troops has, you know, these guys secured over here. So right now it's still a fairly even fight, just by the numbers, but I do think that we have a slight advantage at this point. And I think it's any moment here I'm going to turn these Yuga Katai. There they go. And these guys have long range, so it's going to keep these troops off our flank. I've also moved my White Bears and patched her down off the hill, and I'm going to come engage these remaining Black Bear infantry. There's my Yuga Katai, but they're also getting blasted by artillery on this flank, and it killed quite a number of them. These two guys are about to eat it, if I remember right. Ooh, ouch. Man, he looks all kinds of broken. There we go, some nice artillery hits. So I'm going to put my Yuga Katai into loose formation here in a moment, and put it in a slightly better position so that it'll take less damage from that artillery fire, but I just took about 30 losses from that retarded artillery. The artillery is one of two things on this game. A lot of you are going to say, well, air artillery really was pretty accurate back in this day. Okay, I don't have a problem with that, and the artillery in this game is pinpoint accurate. But if they're going to keep it pinpoint accurate, they actually need to increase the price. I think the Parrot gun is probably priced okay. The Armstrong gun needs to cost much, much more. And the Parrot gun should probably cost a little more too. So I'm thinking for the Armstrong gun, it should cost about 2,500 koku, just considering the range and the damage that it can do. Right now, you can have a really vetted up one for about 1,600. So if they raise the price of it, I think it would all be great. Just because right now artillery is kind of a nuisance in multiplayer. It can be fun to use, it can be annoying to use, but they definitely do need to increase the cost of it because it is devastatingly effective. I thought I put my, okay, I think this is finally where I put them into light, yeah, into loose formation and move them. I let them get shot for far too long. Over here I'm chasing down this routing unit, and they're patched or shattered it with some pistol fire, just to make sure it doesn't come back. So we have a definite advantage at this point. Ares and I can push the flank. Some of his units came back from routing. He's got his Tosa Riflemen who have the range advantage over here. His opponent's Infanterie de Marine does not have the extended range. And the reason I'm saying that is because the foreign units, like the Royal Marines, the French Marines, and the US Marines, can all get extended range on their 5th chevron, whereas every other unit in the game cannot get extended range until 9 chevrons. These are the Tosa Riflemen, wasted on these those aren't Tosa Riflemen, Black Bear Infantry. Looks like they got a fair few kills there. Tosa Rifles are a very good unit. They're very expensive, so you have to use them intelligently, but they're a very good unit as far as range and reload skill and all that kind of stuff. See the artillery fire? I've got my troops way out of here on the flank just to like pull more of his men away from the front. And then I'm going to use my Yuga Katai to open fire on his artillery. And the artillery seems to be somewhat resistant to fire. I'm not really sure why that is, but it was kind of the same on Napoleon Total War II. So yeah, but I am going to slowly take out some of these gunmen. But there's enough of them there that they continue to man the guns. This is really just kind of slowing them down. In the fight over here, let me show you what Ares is up to. He's already got double line fire going, so his Royal Marines can fire over the heads of his Tosa Riflemen. And then his general is going to move up, and his general will be able to fire over the head of both of them. So that'll be... Oh, I said that. That's not his general. That's a Yariki. Here's his general. So he's going to end up having triple line fire going against these French Marines. And these Marines are just going to start eating an insane amount of fire. Just to give you an idea, they're going to move forward a little right here, I think. They're still trying to hide in those woods. But they cannot fire while hidden. You can actually see some of them getting shot. Pretty crazy, huh? There you go. So watch how much fire these French Marines take. It's pretty insane. Of course, these guys fire back pretty quick. But, yeah, they're just going to get absolutely wasted on. Like I said, Ares has triple line fire going here. And these guys are now shattered and going to be exiting the battlefield in shame. So that ended up being a pretty handy victory for Ares and I. Well, I say handy. It was a close victory. These guys played a good game. I think their main failing was the lack of mobility with the cav, and it did cost them some key points in the battle. And then the extra money they spent on all those imperial infantry and parrot guns ended up adding up as well. So let's end the battle and take a look at the statistics here. Hope you all enjoyed these two battles. Should give you some more insight into online play. Tell me what kind of online play you want to see, and I will see what I can do to bring it to you. Of course, I'll have to take some time to introduce you to all the units, and over time you'll start to figure out what they're good at and what they're not good at. Right now in Shogun Fall of the Samurai, I should say, the elite units are overpriced for what they deliver. So units like the Keihitai and Imperial Guard Infantry, Shogunate Guard Infantry, they're all garbage for the price. Like, yeah, some of them have decent reload stats and stuff, but for how much they cost, you can just upgrade a unit of White Bears and it'll be the same, other than the morale, and that's not really going to make a huge difference in the end whenever you think about how many fewer men you can bring to the battlefield. So I really recommend not using the Japanese elite troops. The foreign elite troops are very good right now, and so although they're very expensive, they also kick butt to an extraordinary extent. Imperial infantry and Shogunate infantry are also overpriced. If you look at their stats, they have no better morale than a regular line unit, and they actually have pretty much the exact same stats as the Black Bear, which cost 110 koku less. This is something that I'm hoping that CA will change in a patch. I'm not sure why it got released that way. So there's many units on this game right now that just are not worth the money that you pay. So you have to be very careful about where you throw your upgrades and what kind of units you're choosing, because a lot of you might think, oh, this unit costs 960 instead of 850, so it's probably better than the Black Bear. It's not, and not in any way. So that's one of those things you have to be aware of. So right now, a lot of the units are unusable if you're actually going to be competitive. So hopefully CA will patch that. They did fix the replays, though, which is obviously why you're able to see these replays, so thank you very much, CA. We appreciate you fixing the replays and giving commentators like myself a chance to show off your game a little easier. So, yeah. Anyway, you can see my stats there. This was the unit that was up on the hill. They did an extraordinary amount of killing. My Royal Marines did great considering how much fire they were under, and the rest of my units got beat up pretty bad, to be honest. You can see that his Imperial Guard Infantry, and like I said, these guys aren't bad troops, but for 1280, it's too much, and that's how much he paid for it. And he could have gotten a White Bear up to the same stats for probably around 1,000 koku. So, is the Imperial Guard Infantry good? Yes, but it's overpriced. So I'm not saying, they're not going to do some kills or whatever in their battle, but hopefully you get what I'm trying to explain to you. Here's Ares stats. One of his White Bears did the most killing. His Tosa Rifleman actually got a large number of kills, considering there's only 90 men in that unit instead of 150. So it's pretty extraordinary. In any case, yep, hope you all enjoyed this battle and the previous battle. I will be bringing you more as soon as I get the opportunity. Next video will be a Tosa campaign, and then like I said, the next videos after that will be on Wednesday, my time, possibly Tuesday night if I get back early enough. Anyway, Heir of Carthage signing off for now, YouTube.